See, when you build application, we normally write business logic inside it, right? So based on what is your requirement, you write those codes. And most of the time, we work with data. And in that also, sometimes we work with huge amount of data. And from that data, maybe you want to do some operations like you don't want the entire data, you want to put a filter, and based on that you want some data. In fact, when you use Excel, you filter based on certain conditions. Then maybe you want to transform that data from one type to some other type, or maybe from one value to other value. Example, let's say if you got an integer, maybe you want to convert that into a float. Maybe you got a string and then you convert that to a number by saying, okay, we got so many words in this string, so that's a number. Maybe you want to convert an image into numbers or text. Of course, with the help of AI, you can do that now. But you got the point, right? So basically, you convert things from one thing to other thing, or you change the value. You got a value, now you want to find the square of it. So you got 5 values, find the square of each value. Now that comes under map. And then maybe you got a lot of values and you want to find a single value out of it, maybe by adding all the values. And that comes under reduce. So we'll try to do that in this video or in the next video, depending upon how long the video becomes. So let's get started. And inside this, we are going to use Lambda, we are going to use higher order function, and we have talked about it already. So let's directly jump to that concept. So I will say filter, map, reduce. This is the file. And in this, we are going to do those things. So the first thing I want to do is, first I want the huge amount of data. Okay, when I say huge, I'm not expecting something very huge. So let's say I got these values in which we have numbers, and out of all these numbers, I want to find the even number. Now, how will you do it? See, there's an imperative way of doing this, or we have a declarative way of doing it. Imperative where you do things by yourself, the entire code. And declarative is you call some function or something which will do the things for you. So in the imperative way, we can use a loop here because I would just want to find the even numbers, right? And I want to put them in a list called evens. So we have one more list which is empty at this point, and I want to put the values there. So I will say for I in nums, from nums I want to find those values, and based on the condition, and now we know the condition of even. So for I mod 2, if it is equal to 0, in that scenario, just add that number in the even. So evens dot append, I'm going to append I. This is how you do it. And of course, at the end, you will print it or whatever you want to do with that evens. So I'm just going to print it here. And let's see what happens. So I will go back here and run this. So I will say Python. The file name is filter map reduce.py, enter, and you can see we got these values. We got 4, 2, 6, 8. Perfect. So this is one way of doing it. The another way of doing it is, instead of using a loop here, I can use an inbuilt function. So there is an inbuilt function called filter which we can use here. So I want to put that in the events list. So we don't have to declare that here. I will just remove it now. So we got events, and I can use a function which is an inbuilt function called filter, and you can see it's inbuilt. You don't get errors there, but this filter will return the filter object. Okay, we'll convert that into list after some time, but let's talk about filter now. Now filter is inbuilt. It takes two things from you. One, it takes a function, and second, it takes a iterable. Iterable basically means something where you can iterate on. Example, this nums is a list, and you can iterate on that list. 4, 2, 9, 7. You got the point, right? So that's iterable. So we can pass a list here. So filter takes two things, a function and a iterable. Now we are very clear about what the iterable will be, which is your nums, which is your list. I'm not sure what the function would be. So if you think logically here, you are trying to do filter, right? Filter will say, okay, my job here, I know it's to filter. But whenever you filter, you put some condition, right? You can't simply ask someone to filter something without telling them based on what you want to filter. And that's what it is asking you for. It says, pass me a function where you mention that logic. Okay, so that means you have to pass a function here. And I'm going to say the function name is even. Okay, now this is not an inbuilt function. This is the function which I'm going to create now. So somewhere here, let me create that function is even. But since we are creating this function or defining it, we'll say def is even. We'll give a colon. Now, is even is a function, but nowhere we have mentioned the parameters it will take. Just visually, it looks like is even is going to take the entire nums as the parameter. See, not exactly. Is even takes only one value. Now, who is responsible to call is even by passing one value? And that's the job of a filter. So when filter calls is even, it will pass only one value. But from where? It will pass that one value from nums, one by one. And that's why it was asking you for the iterable. Okay. So I'm going to pass one value. I mean, that's what filter is going to do. And my job is just to return true or false. Example, let's say if you want to get ready to go to a party, and then when you go to a wardrobe, you will see a lot of clothes there, right? 5 or 6, maybe 100. That's too much. But maybe people do have that much of clothes. I got 5. I can't even lie now. You know, I keep changing my clothes for every few videos. Anyway, the point is, when you look at your wardrobe and when you check which cloth I want to wear, and when you iterate, so those are iterables, right? When you iterate, you say false, 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 true. Pick it up, right? That's what you do. So if you say true, it will pick up everything. It's like you're wearing all the clothes. But you're not Joey from Friends. So let's clean that here and run. You can say it is returning the object of filter. Why? Is because we are using filter here, which goes into even, and that's what you're printing. Filter returns the object of filter. What I want is a list from it. So you can simply pass that to a list, which will convert this filter into list. So now let's run this, and you can see we got the entire list here. Why not just even numbers? Is because we are saying true here. If you say false, it will not print any value. You can say it is blank. So based on this condition, it picks up those things. Now I want to actually put the condition here, not true and false. So for this n, I want to check if this is even or odd. If it is even, then that's true. It will pick up the value. And let's see if it works, whatever we are saying. And you can see it is printing the even number. That's cool. Perfect. So this is working. But don't you think instead of using this particular way of doing it, we should be using lambda here or anonymous function, because we only got a function which we are going to use here, which takes one parameter, has a expression. So instead of this, I can use lambda here. So I can say is even equal to, we know how to use lambda now, which takes one parameter, and this is the expression. So instead of using this, we can use this. And let's see if this works with the new way of doing it, and it works. Okay, so that's why we have learned lambda first before talking about filter. Okay, but don't you think we are using is even here, so we can directly use lambda? So I can just cut this and put it here. We don't have to write it outside. And everything is on one line. Now, this is not actually difficult. It's just unfamiliar looking at this for the first time. And that's why you say, okay, we got a list, we got a filter, we got lambda, and so many things. But if you try to read this, it's very simple. We want a list and we want to filter the elements. This is the logic, and these are the values from which I want to filter. Much better, right? And that's how you do the filter part. But what about map reduce? Let's try that in the next video.